Okay. All right, it's recording. Hopefully, this one actually gets us talking, unlike the other one. I was looking online, so I guess when you're FaceTiming, you can't screen record with audio because it's got something to do with wiretapping laws. Does that make
That
sense?
sounds like bullshit. What the fuck, Apple?
I don't know, but all I know is it's quiet. What I will say though is I kept the video. I'm still gonna upload it. I'm just gonna say, you know, this is what we talked about, and you have to imagine you can hear us. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Dude, what are you
totally.
doing?
Right now? Oh, I'm sorry. What should I drink today? I was gonna pour a drink.
Oh, what do you have?
I have, I have Blanton's Rare Breed
Blanton. Don't
Legacy.
don't you don't have to keep going, man. Blanton's is the way to go.
Oh, so much. I'll for you. I'll pour some Blanton's.
Do it, dude. Blanton's good.
I have
It's
to
good
show
for
it
you.
on camera that I'm pouring this,
Healthy.
just
Yeah.
because I'm like, oh, it's so much. But I guess you gotta enjoy it every once in a while.
Mm.
So,
What's cool is the horse on top. You gotta show it the
yeah.
horse.
No, the horse is the coolest part,
Is
but
little jockey.
this is the less cooler horse. That's what this one's open. The cooler horse is not open.
Ooh, so what does that mean? The cooler horse is a different color, or what's going on there? Oh,
Running.
look at that. That is
Uh,
cool.
so
So what's going on? One of them's got the netting around it. Is that just how it looks when?
yeah, that's how it actually comes. So if you like actually bought at a store, it come with this. It doesn't clink.
Yeah,
So I just leave it like this because I think the netting looks cool. But
it does
obviously to
look
use
cool.
it, it's stupid. But yeah.
Dude, I
So I
like
have
it.
two bottles because the only way to justify opening this bottle was when I bought this bottle. So then I'd
So you
always
have
have one.
it. Yeah, there you go. I like the way you
Yeah,
think.
like if I barely drink at any of this, but besides the overspending, but I can lie to myself and tell myself I could sell this one bottle for the same price I paid for both of the bottles.
No, but you're not gonna sell it. You gotta drink it.
No, I know it's like the staple of the collection. It's my nice bottle,
There you go.
and it's. Have you ever like opened one of these things?
No, I've never bought it myself. I've tried it in restaurants. When I was in South Carolina, I had some. It was pretty
Yeah,
good.
it's fucking. This is solid.
It's
It's
cool.
not plastic. It's like actually made out of metal. But
Yeah, drinking a real whiskey bottle, not plastic. There you go, baby.
I don't know. The thing is, I wouldn't care to drink. Like I drink other ones that are expensive too, but it's just that it's so hard to get.
Yeah.
That's what gets it. It's just a pain in the ass. It's like,
Well, that makes
oh,
it
you pay
so
out the
worth
ad,
it.
or you have to be at the liquor store all the time because it sells out in like a day.
Sells out.
But oh yeah, you can't just buy that stuff.
I believe you. No, I gotta
Yeah,
find
that
some.
bottle
I bet. Well,
retail the
maybe in
bottle
Washington,
$60.
you guys. It seems like you guys have some pretty strict laws.
No, 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 I've never even seen it for sale in Washington. I've
That's
only
what.
ever bought it in Idaho.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because Idaho evenly distributes their liquor bottles despite like whether there's actually any traction to buy them. So at fucking State Line, Idaho, where there's like a bunch of cigarette stores, people are not buying like, expensive bourbons.
No,
It's like,
except for Cedric. That's where you come in.
yeah,
You swoop
yeah,
in.
no, I
Listen.
bought both of them from here. And one time it was the last bottle, and the other time there were two bottles. And I roll up, and there's this other dude walks in, and it's like he's with like his daughter's daughter's like 10.
Yeah.
And we both walk to the back where they have the special limited liquor cabinet. Like they literally have like a shelf, and they're like, we only have like 6 of these.
Okay.
It's like because the like liquor brands will sell to the whole state of Idaho that say they get 1,000 bottles. They'll distribute those 1,000 throughout every single liquor store.
Mm-hmm.
So you always go to that back section if you collect. So I go there, boom, there's 2 bottles left, and there's a sign that says you can only grab one. And so I grabbed one and that guy grabbed one. We didn't even look at anything else. There wasn't even like a hesitation. Oh, should I buy this? Nope.
Nope.
Good deal. Yeah. Like if I see it again, I'll buy another bottle. And I've literally talked to people about how hard it is to find this at retail. And like I don't, the only person I know that has it, he bought it from someone else.
Well,
Like
try some. Try some. Tell us how it is.
I guess I'm using my fancy glass.
It looks,
Doesn't have a lot of legs, really.
it's got a lot of what?
Legs, like you kind of see how the water falls down, like how it like falls.
Uh-huh.
You know, try to get like viscosity. And then, do you know why I use a crystal glass?
Tell me.
Lead acetate crystal is clearer than normal glass, so you can actually get the color of the whiskey better.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
So
that's the point of it.
I've got some of those. You know, back in my family house, they have some with the initial on it, the family initial. They look pretty cool. I mean, I love filling those up. I'll make like a Manhattan. Do you make drinks, Cedric?
No, I have like nothing. I
Dude,
probably should get
gotta
something to make some drinks,
gotta gotta
just
start
to
making them, man.
occasionally.
Dude, it's fun. You make
Yeah.
the Manhattans. I love using Angel's Envy. You know the rye. It's
Oh,
got
this
kind
is
of like
so much. That's just so much to use.
that's why
Like,
it tastes
imagine
so
how much
good.
they would
That's why it
charge you at
tastes
a
so
bar for
good.
that. That's like a $40 Manhattan. They're like, fucking what Angel's Envy in this bitch?
Yeah. No, but it's good, dude. And I charge people. No, I should. I should start charging people. That and old
I mean,
fashions.
if
There was a
you're
lady.
putting Angel's Envy in it,
Huh?
Angel's Envy, you charge people for it. You're like, yeah, this is expensive. If
Yeah.
they're
They come
drinking like
over.
101 Wild Turkey Rye, that's fair. That's fine. That's a good
Yeah,
price.
well, you
Behind
know,
that.
I mean, I got it, man. It's tough. It's like, what's that saying? You try, you try the really good foods. You get a taste of, you know, what rich feels like, and then you can't go back to being poor. Something like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that.
What am I? So, dude,
Well, I mean, I don't know. Land's like,
it's good.
almost needed like a palate cleanser. I should have like one drink before I tried this. Because that's how I feel like when you, like, because you need to get used to having drinking whiskey before I gotta give the review before we talk about this book.
Yeah, no, we can do that. We got the book. We got the chapters. I don't know. Do you want to touch on the previous chapters real quick since we weren't able to actually get it on audio?
Oh,
Although
I
we look
mean,
good. We look good
I
in
feel
the
like
video.
you're better at like at summarizing than I am.
That's a good way to deflect. That's good. I mean, I'll do it. I'll
Because
do it.
I knew I'd do a sucky job. Like if this becomes very detailed, this time you'll be happy to know that I did take notes.
Really?
So I did take
Dude,
notes.
I had some thoughts on what we can do progressing this. We can discuss when this is over. We'll have like a separate video and we can discuss.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
because I felt bad that I didn't take notes because I remembered the book, but it's like I couldn't remember like specific things to talk about
yeah,
the book. Because most of the time I'm used to not talking about it with anybody or talking at the very end of the reading it. So you only need to remember like overarching points,
yeah,
you know?
pretty much.
Because
Yeah,
it's like
well,
they didn't fucking
you know, in the two chapters we read, so the last one was kind of hard for me to kind
it
of
didn't
grasp
flow
it.
well. It was like very short little snippets and like
Yeah,
it was like he was
talk
like
about
trying to like
flow.
identify the like I don't know. I think he didn't do his best job at creating an argument as he did in some of the other ones.
Yeah, but where he was talking about the pale, crossing the pale, that was very
No,
strong.
yeah,
That was a very
but
strong chapter.
oh no, I agree. I agree. The whole like I thought that was a good way of looking at it. The have you ever seen Jim Gaffigan?
Yeah, I've heard his name.
He's the Hot Pockets guy. He's
Hot
like the Hot
Pocket.
Pocket comedian.
Oh,
He's
great.
like Hot Pocket,
Yeah,
put it in your asshole pocket, poop in the toilet pocket. That guy.
yeah.
Uh, so so that dude has a stand-up show that's called Beyond the Pale, but it's because he's really pale. But now all I can think about that is when I hear this, I'm like, fucking, was he alluding to
You're like,
this
oh,
pale
Hot Pocket.
bullshit? Like,
All right, let's pause the audiobook. I'm gonna go grab some Hot Pockets. Come back.
Yeah. Yep.
Well,
Ooh,
okay, so
but I
yeah,
will
so
grab my
let's
note sheet.
yeah, go ahead. I'm gonna look through my notes and kind of discuss. So, we had that previous discussion, but unfortunately, again, it was not recorded on audio. So, for all our millions of viewers who aren't going to be able to hear it, it's unfortunate, but we can review right now. So, again, we're reading the book Stealing Fire, written by Jamie Wheal, Stephen Kotler, two guys who were part of the Flow Genome Project. They're pretty much, it sounds like their goal, right, is to get people more in this flow state for this peak human performance, right? Um, and they wrote these books because they studied these action adventure sports athletes. They studied all these people who are are the happiest and all that fun stuff. So anyway, we're reading their books. We read The Rise of Superman. We didn't record that, but that's okay. Now we're reading the second one, Stealing Fire, where they touch on it a little bit, and they touch on some of the aspects of getting into the flow state, which involves four key things. It's struggle, right? You got to struggle a little bit, and then you get the release of the stress. Yeah, there you go. Release of stress. What's how do you pronounce that? I'm never good. Neuro and I'll look it up. I'll write it in there so everyone can read it. I'm not gonna say it. So the stress stuff, and then you got to relax. And then you got to take a step back and relax, right? And then the stress, whatever the chemicals are, it gets replaced by really really good ones. I don't know if it's endorphins, serotonin, dopamine. It's one of them. And then you're in flow. And when you're in flow, it increases your creativity, your focus. Um, you kind of get a sense of timelessness where your sense of time is almost gone. You absorb more information. You feel more in the moment, more in the now, which seems to be a huge answer to a lot of people who think time's passing them too quickly, especially now in the technological age. And then there's effortlessness and that little voice in your head that's telling you can't do things. It goes quiet. So it's really cool stuff, right? Real cool stuff. And
Yep.
yeah, so I'm happy we're reading these books. Anyway, the last chapters, he kind of touched on them a little bit. He talked about his stir method. What flow does. Stir is STER. S is self. You kind of get away from your ego. You step out of yourself, and in doing so, you gain greater perspective. Time, which we discussed, I just kind of talked about. Your sense of time changes. You enjoy it a little bit more. You're more in the now, right now, and I don't know. I enjoy it. If when I try to get in this flow state, I feel like I'm here, I'm now, and I'm having a good time. Effortlessness. We all have a little motivation on a constant scale. Okay, so hmm, so
Oh, you back?
was I kicked out?
Yeah, I was like, where'd this guy go? I was like, he just like blanked out, and then you weren't there, and then I was like, kind of go to driving mode. I was like, the fuck is this?
Were you still talking? I hope you kept everyone preoccupied while I was stepping out for a sec.
I
I
was
like
just
how
like,
this
it
played
was
out.
just like this stupid thing didn't work. I was like, damn it, is this guy still here?
Well, hey,
So
we're still figuring this out, right? Zoom, I don't know. It's kicked me
technical
out
difficulties.
twice. But anyway, so we were talking about
I
effortlessness.
like how Zoom is so much shittier than like all the other options. Have you ever used Teams?
Oh, Microsoft Teams. I love Microsoft Teams.
Microsoft Teams is way better. Every time I've used Zoom, I've been like, this is like a way shittier version of Teams.
Yeah, but hey, their stock price is doing pretty sweet. So
Yeah,
Microsoft stuck
if
at
anything, I should
200.
invest in Microsoft.
I like
Yeah,
Microsoft. You know what?
the
I
Microsoft
like
stuff's
them
better.
because I like the business. I like how I don't know. You hear about all these antitrust, all the investigations and all that stuff. And it's
Oh,
interesting.
Amazon. Oh, beautiful.
It's interesting because Microsoft, you don't hear about them, but apparently way back like early 2000s or in the 90s, there were antitrust hearings about Microsoft, and they were investigating, or interrogating is the right word, Bill Gates, right? And so I guess they learned their lesson there. We're going to stand out. But it's interesting because you and I were talking about the data collection, all these
Yeah.
free sites, they collect your data and then they sell them to advertisers. But
Yeah.
Microsoft, so as soon as we had talked about that, and as soon as, I was thinking, oh, this kind of sucks. Their Instagram, Facebook, all this stuff, they're like keeping you entranced in their apps just so they can
Yeah.
sell your information to advertisers. I went on my Xbox, and the first thing it said, "Hey, we want to be more transparent. These are the cookies we use. You can opt in or opt out of them. Just let us know." And I was like, "Huh, I want to invest in this company. They know what they're they seem like a pretty cool company."
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Microsoft's good, especially with what they do. It's so like consumer and digital focused, and they do a good job of pivoting. But they're not an Amazon. Like Amazon's really cool because Amazon's diversifying fucking next level. Like they're going into like I can't remember. There's like a term for it, but it's just like related diversification. So like trying to like branch out to things that make more and more sense. But each time they get into a new industry, it now makes more sense to do like 10 other things.
Well,
Yeah,
they
like
they're
once
in
they got,
they're in like every industry.
oh, they are, but I'm saying like for them to get to anything, for them to get to the point where they were selling items, they had to start selling books. Like they had to sell those used books, and they had to be a marketplace for used books. And then they were able to sell new books because if you're already selling used books, it makes sense to sell new books. And if you're selling books, it might make sense to sell something else. And if you're selling something else, it might make sense to sell this. And while if you're selling all these things, it might make sense to sell some digital content. Well, if you're doing all this, it might make sense to ship all the stuff yourself. Oh, well, if everybody's going on your website, you might as well start hosting websites to people. Oh, you're hosting a website? Well, you might do their, social media. It's just like it keeps
Oh, I
snowballing.
might as well. I might as well just get into it.
No,
I
that's
got all
literally
the
how it is.
money.
Like because the investment's so much lower. If you already have a customer base to sell to, then it's like way more viable for you to say, "Hey, we can make a $10 million investment and guarantee that we'll make 15 million, but could make 150 million."
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what
So
I could do? I could pivot because I'm looking at your background. It's cool. I do have my tiger. There you go. That's a little
yep,
cooler. Better.
yep. The Jimi Hendrix right there.
Jimi Hendrix, pretty
My
sweet.
boy, my boy Michael, my boy Michael, the skis.
There you go.
Do they look like skis from behind me?
No, they look like skis. I mean, it's all pretty crazy, and it definitely catches my attention, so I like it.
Yeah. I wish this chair was bigger because the chair is interesting too. It's a wingback.
Oh, we saw it. No, we saw it because you got up a little bit. So
It's like if you go right here. If only I was shorter, but the wingback.
so hey, wait. Let's get back to oh.
Oh,
Did you get cut
my
off?
phone's low. No, my phone's just on a lower battery, so I'm just gonna move this.
Technical difficulties. Zoom. Experiencing Zoom for the first time. I think I saw we can only do like 45-minute meetings on Zoom for the free profile, and you gotta like get a license if you're gonna have longer ones. Maybe.
What the hell?
I know, right? I like the whale, by the way. It looks cool.
Thanks. Mixing up a little bit.
Well, so
This is whale.
let's get back to the stir method. They're chapter two. The self, you get away from your ego. Time, you're living more in the now. Effortlessness, things become easier. You get more motivation to do things. And then richness, you've got your creativity is enhanced. Um, your motivation. No, that was the last one. Um, connection to connection to
Yep.
yourself becomes a lot bigger. Um, you've got more memory because I think it highlights the part of your brain that is used for memory. So I don't know, it's interesting because if you really get in these states and you really like focus on it, I mean, you do get more memories of things. Because like I said,
Yeah.
I've tried, you know, getting in these states as much as possible. And all I have memories of like when I was a kid or something. And I'm like, wow, I totally forgot that happened, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Like almost some of the stuff you can unpack when you are. I mean, I think it's almost a little bit like he was talking about mindfulness.
yep.
I think it almost kind of is a little bit with that. It's like you're just so into like the current moment or whatever, what you're thinking, that it kind of starts to trigger. It's like, oh, that's something I remember. Oh, yeah, that did happen. Or however you're perceiving what happened. I mean, who knows? Um, but I thought that was a good point when he was just talking about mindfulness and all that. So,
Well,
but yeah, I thought it was overall really good. I like the first point that he made where he was just talking about how they use like joy and like just kind of like a little bit at a time instead of like a fire hose. Like that was one of the
joy,
one of the opening things.
using it at a
Or
little.
I don't know. Well, yeah, it was. I can't remember what term he used, but basically, he was just talking about how like how they'll use how they'll use like intermittent like satisfaction
A little
mixed
bit
with
at
like
a time.
yeah, yeah, to help like control large groups of people. And I was like, that's a fairly true way of looking at it. Like even think of it, your work life. The most successful people, they go on vacation all the time. They're always doing all these crazy things. The most people, they go on vacation a week and they like pray and like work so hard to get that 1 week. It's like who's really winning here? You know, it's
Yeah. Well, what's
like
what's more important? I got a lot of there are a lot of people I know who I might work with or have worked with or just know in general who are workaholics, right? And they love to work, and you're like, oh well, don't you want to enjoy your time? No, no. You know what? I enjoy the craziness of it all. I enjoy the hard work, and I just it's great. And I'll work for this company for so long, and you know what? I'm fine with that. And I guess they can be fine
oh,
with
it's not
that.
like the most depressing thing.
Well, I was
Oh,
gonna get
just
to.
depressing.
I was gonna get to because I mean, unless they have the understanding, unless they've come to the conclusion that there's a lot more to being stuck in that 9 to 5 job, unless I mean, honestly, that's another thing that this flow stuff is huge for. Because when you get to step out of your own ego, you get to step out of yourself, and you get that greater perspective. Then you're looking at, well, hold on, I've only got so much time to do what I want to do, because our lives are limited. So why am I spending all this time working for this other guy at this company when I should be enjoying myself, and I should be enjoying it with the people that I enjoy? And you know what? Everyone should be having a good time. We really shouldn't be in this rat race, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, no, it's definitely just like I mean that's the thing I never got is that whole rat race idea until I got in it and I'm like, people are just fucking stupid. Like just so dumb. Like you just see people make stupid moves all the time. I love cars. Biggest thing that cars. I was heard this Dave
It's a
Ramsey
good
quote. Do you
movie.
know who that is? Dave
Owen
Ramsey.
Wilson. Owen Wilson was a good. He's been good in that movie.
Dave Ramsey.
No, you said Cars, so I was thinking of the Disney movie.
Oh, I was thought you're talking. I was like
Yeah,
Dave Ramsey has a movie. I
yeah.
was like, you know that? Yeah, but you
Filmmaker.
no, I did like Cars though. Life's a Highway.
Yeah, great song. Okay, but yeah, David Ramsey. Yeah, don't have any debt. Pay everything with cash.
Yep, that guy.
Don't pay off your credit card. Pay to what is it? Fundraisers and nonprofits instead. Dave Ramsey way.
Uh, I I don't know. I mean, I disagree with some of the stuff. I mean, I don't disagree with his ways. I feel like it's not the best way to actually maximize your value, but it's still plenty
We
good
all
points,
got
plenty
our
of
own
great points.
things. What worked for him works for
Yeah.
him. I think it's a very conservative method. It's very
Oh,
conservative.
it's absurdly. It's really good if you're bad with money though. It's basically like don't spend any money.
So
Like, oh,
that's how
you
you
have that
maybe.
thought of spending money and
Yeah.
loaning out money from someone else now. You're bad
Yep.
with money. But there was a quote in it, and it was like, unless you have $1 million net worth, you could not afford a new car. And I was like, that is so true. Well, rich motherfuckers buy new
Yeah,
cars.
well, because that's what happens, man. Because you get people who are working, an okay position, maybe a construction worker, or whatnot, and they find they're barely making ends meet, but they get enough spending money. They go out and they buy new Jordans, or they buy new Beats or something like that, and it's like obviously they wear it to show it off because they want to look rich. But what is it? I don't know if it was Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. I don't know who said it, but something people should definitely think about is that the people who are really successful, really rich, they usually don't wear flashy clothes. They don't really want people seeing them successful. You look at who's that guy? Facebook. That guy, I think he only wears like one shirt ever, and he's like, "Oh, I do it so I."
No, he wears the same thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
literally that's all he wears. So he doesn't have to think about like what he wears because he's pointless. It wastes his time. The dude from Twitter eats once a day?
Eats once a day.
Yes.
Wow, it's like intermittent fasting.
Yeah. So every 24 hours he eats.
Huh. I mean,
Eats
that guy
once.
does a lot of
That's the
yoga.
limit
I
of his
bet
time.
that guy. I bet that guy's into this whole flow stuff.
Well, they're all crazy people. Like all these people that have been able to do this, they're just literally insane people. It's crazy. Like
Crazy now.
you don't, because you can't do so. You got to think. Like I think crazy. Crazy is what makes a lot of these people. I mean, or you could look at it as maybe attention to ultra tape. But I've always looked at like being crazy. Think of all those freak athletes. Those are guys that are pushing themselves to a level that does not make sense. Like they have a broken foot. Logical, safe answer. Don't go out there and keep playing. They're a crazy person. So in their mind, I can work through this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then they go out and have a great day, and they, all the fame, whatever. The glory goes to them. But that was crazy. That didn't make sense. That was not the right move from a like logical self-preservation standpoint. And the same thing is true for a lot of these people. It's like it's crazy to work 100 hours, do all this stuff, take all these massive risks. It's crazy. But that's why they're successful. It's because they're a little crazy. And, they're willing to do what it takes or push those boundaries or do whatever. That's why I thought this was kind of interesting because now I've understood for a while that I need to just like learn more stuff. But I liked when it was talking about the developmental stages. I thought that was really, at least for me, more important. That's kind of
Developmental
how I look at
stages.
stuff. Yeah, when I was talking about that portion. Because that's kind of how I look at stuff. It's like, I mean, not to say like school's like the best thing ever, but I think that kind of structure where you're in these individual like buildings, and it kind of congregates you with a certain group of kids. I feel like to a certain extent that does actually keep developmental stage with developmental stages. And, not to say that I'm in like developmental stages now with a group of people, but I'm in like my own. Like
Yeah.
I'm 23, like there's still plenty of learning and life experience I have to do. So if I can, get in states to be able to take in more, so then it impacts me more. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't have to like, make a mistake 10 times, I make one once, or see something 3 times, I can see it once, or whatever. That'll speed up the process.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean that makes sense. It's definitely a slow process at first, right? I mean, you gotta kind of get into it slow. Um,
Yeah.
and so in terms of the developmental process, because I'm actually trying to kind of piece together. So when he was discussing that, and where was he talking about that? I may have missed that
Uh,
part of the book actually.
oh, it was towards the end. He was just talking about how like you're gonna be going through all these development. It's like the very end. It was like the very last part of what he was talking about.
Was it
And
the
he's like
last
how you
part of
go through
the
all.
the fourth chapter?
Yeah.
Was the fourth chapter? Fourth chapter was the four forces of flow, right? Translating, transformation.
Is all this called? What's up? There you go too. I feel like those four. Was it because he talked about the planes? Yeah, those four. Um, yeah, it's like towards the end because it's more has to do with like he's like trying to explain why flow is important. I guess it's because he's really talking about like the flow and like getting in those individual states, but he's talking about how those individual states can help accelerate your overall development, because like really, like at least that's how I look at it, like it's very much stages. Like right now, like in life and everything, like I'm trying to learn, like this is very much a learning stage. Like there's some doing and some happening now,
Yeah.
but I very much look at it as like I'm trying to learn some stuff and gain a little more knowledge and understand a little bit more, and then really push to a doing, and like still learning, always learning and doing, but like lean more on doing later, uh, or at least like failing and having some more of that life experience that way.
Yeah.
At least that's how I look at it. Like more in like a year's um, standpoint, in front of like an every hour, every minute kind of deal. So this kind of helps me because it's like looking like, all right, you are looking big picture. You're doing this so then you can enrich your life to then be able to cut that 5 years down to 3 or down to
Yeah.
2.
Yeah. So isn't that interesting? Because what's the one thing they've said multiple times? They talk about, I can't remember the guy's name, but whoever said that in order to fully master something, you need to put 10,000 hours into it.
Oh yeah,
But
the
flow,
Malcolm Gladwell.
nice, nice memory. I like that. But flow cuts it in half.
I've read his book like 3 times, so it's not fair. I've read like five of his books, so
Derek,
it's like,
you should have let it
yeah.
go, man. I was really impressed.
No. But I credit where credit's due. Sometimes I do know obscure stuff, but no, that's not fair. I did read. Did you see that he referenced Think and Grow Rich?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, because he was
I
talking
did
about
just read
how
that book.
that guy was like a guru, and he's like, well,
Yep.
if I'm going to charge these guys money and they're like, disassociating from material things, then they're not going to be able to pay me money. So I need to start teaching them to make money.
Well, it wasn't the same guy that wrote Think and Grow Rich that did that. It was just like it was in the vein of that style
Hmm.
of uh of motivation, which I think Grow Rich has a lot of good ideas as far as just like positive thinking and just like, and then like self awareness. I think is the biggest one. That's one of the biggest points, is like really being able to understand and answer questions about yourself, which I've done a good job at. And it also says to read the book a couple times, which I think I'm going to read it another time.
Yeah,
Uh,
you like
but
that.
I might just do that kind of slowly in between, like reading the book we're currently on, and
Yeah.
just take it over like 2 weeks.
Well, so we're kind of going out of order. Let's go to chapter 3. I mean, we're like, I can't tell how much
Okay, so how do you
time
feel
goes.
about the Pale?
The pale. So that was interesting, man. Because so I'm Irish. That's why there's a little bit of red here. So every time they talk about Irish and Ireland and my ancestors, I get all excited. But when they talked about the British people coming in and conquering them, I don't know how excited I was. I guess I should have expected it. But no, man, I thought that was powerful. I thought that was very powerful. He's like, well, the British came into Ireland and they set up their pale, which was like a fence that separated, Ireland, the wilderness and the craziness of the Irish people from, British civilization and all that stuff. And they said that when someone goes past that pale, either they don't come back at all, or they do come back, but they're ostracized because people say, oh, they've seen too much, and oh, they must have accepted it, and oh, and so that's pretty. I thought that was a very strong lead in to the chapter. What
Yeah.
were your thoughts?
No, I thought it was too. I mean, it's isn't it like the allegory of the cave? You aren't you you're the allegory of the cave guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, I think it's got
Do
some
we
of that.
want to discuss the allegory of the cave? Say it
Yeah,
so everyone listening knows.
yes, you can just discuss the allegory of the cave.
I like it so much. I want to like this.
You know,
Uh, so, allegory of the cave, right? Is it's Plato, and he's talking about how well he sets up a scenario. So you imagine there are a few people, maybe 3 or 4 people, and they're chained up in a cave. They're chained up their entire lives. So they grew up from baby, growing up, and they've been chained up in this cave, and all they can see is a cave wall where there are shadows of objects being flashed on the wall, and that's all they see, right? Well, one day, one of the people, they break free. They break free of the chains and they climb out of the cave, and they go out and they see the sunlight and they see the objects, the actual objects that were being shown on the wall, and sees water and sees, what's really going on. And he gets all excited. He's like, wow, this is incredible. I'm seeing things. I totally thought that, the cave, this is all there was, but now I'm seeing this is really what's going on. He goes back in the cave and he talks to the people. He says, hey, you guys are never going to believe this. This isn't real. What's real is up there. And you know what happens is he went beyond the pale, right?
He went beyond the pale, and they're like, that's all lies, bro.
He went.
Everybody that goes past there never comes back.
No.
Little I know, he came back. He's like, yeah, because they all have 70 virgins.
Virgins, yeah. But yeah, and I think that's a metaphor from him when he was talking about philosophy, because they were talking about how it's very difficult to discuss philosophy and new ideas to people. I think personally that has a lot to do with loss aversion, because you look at Daniel Kahneman. He says the reason people make any decision ever is because of prospect theory, which prospect theory states that most of our decisions are based on risk and the amount of loss that we might incur by making a decision. So say, so an example, right, is if you had a chance, you have two options. You could flip a coin, 50% heads, 50% tails. If you get a heads, you get $100. Tails, you get $0. Or you get 100%, that you'll get $70. Right? Those are the two options. Which one are you going to choose?
Just the same. Right?
Are they the
I
same?
was being lazy. It wasn't doing the math.
So basically it was, it's saying, because most people take the 100% option. So it's, it's 50-50, 50% chance you get $100, 50% chance you get no dollars by flipping a coin, or you get 100% chance you get $70. Most people take the $70 because that's a for sure. But the crazy thing is if you flip the situation, so now you flip a coin, 50% chance you lose $100, 50% chance you lose nothing, versus 100% chance you lose $70. People choose to flip the coin. And so it's it's basically saying we take more risks when we're more likely to incur a loss.
No, I agree. I like it. I mean, I don't disagree with it. I don't like it when it's set up like money like that, just because it's just a logical choice. That's the best thing. It's always the best thing to just make sure you're gonna get the money. And now, if you did it at a higher rate, now if it was not the same decision, like the same likelihood, obviously 100% is better than any chance of loss. Now, if you up the percentage, I'm curious how it goes. Like if you're like, hey, you could either get, what would be I would have to set up, but basically it's like you could either get $50, like a 50% chance of getting $50, or you could get 100% chance of getting $10.
Yeah, I mean, it also has to do with your risk aversion as well, right? So people.
No, I know. I just think it would be interesting if they would do something like that as well, just to see.
Well, it
the
depends
results
on the value. I mean, that's basically what he was talking about too. It depends upon the value. The reason why I use 70 and 100 is because they're relatively close in value, and the dollars themselves really just represent value. I mean, it could be anything. For me, it's like, what guy goes to the grocery, comes home, and doesn't take every single bag with him when he goes in from the car? Because you're not going to make a second trip. I'm not going to make a second trip to the car to grab my grocery bags. I'm just going to bring them all in at once. And so if you think about that in terms of this prospect theory, for me, I would rather risk taking all those bags with all the heavy milk and eggs and things I can break, things I can spill. I'd rather take them all once than lose my time going back to the car and getting the bag. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. No, I get it. It's not that. It's just, I think everything's different. Like the one I always think of is like people with their job. Someone will hate their job, hate it.
Yep.
But they won't leave because they're going to lose their job.
Yep.
What the fuck is the value of a job you don't like?
Yeah.
The value is that it gave you money. All right, you go find something else that'll make you some money. It's not bad.
What does that tell you?
Oh, I know. No, it directly aligns with the theory. I just don't like it in that scenario better. Even though, yeah, like his direct like thing was the money. I just like it in that scenario better, just because I feel like that's real life. Like that's real shit. It's like why are you doing this thing you hate when you can do something you like? Um,
Well,
but the pales, what was those pales? The pales of religion, the pales of body, the pales of government, or whatever.
yeah, yeah.
I don't know if they said it was government, but
Of the church, pill of the church, pill of let's see, pill of the church, pill of the body, pill of the state.
oh, state.
So you have some
Um,
notes on that? What are your thoughts?
oh, I just think that was a good way to kind of split it off. It's just like those are very large governing bodies, and it just to split
Governing
it into
body.
each one of those. Yeah, it's like in religion are impactful to your life. So religion super impactful. Like people are born from the day they're born till the day they die, very strongly held beliefs. But I mean, it can also limit the pale because again, that's where people see it. They're like, well, you're not part of the norm. And then your body, like social norms, like sexualized, again, a massive thing. Like there's like a whole culture around just banging dudes. Like who cares? There's not a culture around banging chicks. It's not like we have banging chicks parades, like but because it's like a whole thing, and it's outside the norm, outside the pale. It's a thing, and then just like I kind of agree with the government state thing. Do you ever? I mean, it's a high thought, but you can just grow weed like it's illegal, but if you put a seed in the fucking ground, it just grows. So you could theoretically do nothing to it, and it'd make marijuana, and you just put a seed in the ground. Like, it just still blows my mind. Like, you could do that with like fucking
What
heroin,
that a
essentially.
plant grows?
Well, no, just that like a plant can be illegal. Like, it's literally a
Oh,
plant.
yeah. No, it is pretty interesting in that, yeah, that seemed to be what they were talking about, right? Because when they were talking about the Pale of the State and how, if you say something that goes against, the political norms and the cultural norms, then
No.
you're going beyond that pale and everyone says, oh, you're crazy, right? So what was it he talked about? He talked about the horseback
Uh,
riding versus
yeah,
MDMA use.
horseback. Oh, I would totally agree with that. I would say most people take MDMA. You take 1 point, you're fine.
Well, so
Like,
let's talk about it so the people who haven't read this understand what he was saying. So what was he saying about horseback riding and MDMA? Who
oh,
was
he
this
was just
guy?
saying that. Yeah, so he was like,
He was
I don't
the
remember his exact title,
scientist,
but he was like a
right?
health official or something
Yeah.
of like a UK health official guy. And basically, his job was like to develop research and an action plan to help with like drugs or something like that. And so his whole thing was based off science, and so he took a look at the number of negative instances associated with horseback riding and the number of negative instances associated with MDMA, and he found that it was like 64 times more likely to be injured in a horseback riding accident as opposed to taking MDMA. And
Hmm.
which I would totally agree with that. I mean, that makes my head logical sense. Like
Yeah.
riding a horse is not that safe. That thing can just bolt. Like it's happened to me multiple times. Like
To you?
multiple
Happened to
times.
you?
Oh yeah, plenty of times. Plenty of times. Horse gets spooked and you're on the back of that thing. It's not gonna listen to you.
No.
I'm not
I
listening to
mean,
you. It
it's a
thinks it's gonna
creature. It's
die.
got its own thing going on.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I've had horses fall multiple times. Like, ugh. I remember this one time, this horse just bolted. This horse just took off. I don't know why
Cedric,
the fuck something.
I don't want to bring back bad memories for you. I don't want to bring
No,
back
it's
that
fine.
PTSD.
I thought now I think it's funny. So I was like out riding with my
Me
grandfather, and
too.
um, like the horse gets spooked, some bolts, and I lose my hat. Like this is like a forest. This isn't like out and about. Like we're in a forest,
Yeah.
and so the horse bolts, and I like lose my hat. I even had like the stampede strap on. Like I had the little thing so it'd stay on my head. Lose my hat on a branch because I had to like duck on a branch because the horse is running. And then I like kind of can steer the horse down. Like it's rough because you don't want to do too much because you could potentially have the horse fall, which you don't want that to happen because it could get hurt and you could get hurt. So I like steer it down a different way to try to get it to slow down or do something. And then
Yeah.
it actually the way I went, it like ended up falling down like a little like embankment. And when it fell down the embankment, like I kind of halfway tossed off the thing so it didn't fall on me. And
Hmm.
then I just scrambled up the bank and then I get crowd to scramble up after and grab the reins and just kind of
Wow.
walk back, and my grandfather like found me and then like hop back on because I was like, well, even though this fucking crazy ass, stupid ass fucking horse, I'm not gonna walk back.
Even though he almost killed you, let's do it again. I'm into it. But
Oh
isn't
yeah,
that
oh
isn't
yeah,
that crazy? And isn't that crazy? Because they were discussing, right? Because this guy was like a accredited health official, scientist. He studied psychology in Britain, right? And he studied all this stuff, and as soon as he found and he published that MDMA uses, it was a less likely percentage that it would damage you than say a horseback riding. Everyone went crazy in the news and the media. They all said, "Oh, this guy said that MDMA is safer than horses," and then they had him interview or got interrogated by Parliament.
oh yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, well, you can't compare the harmfulness of something legal with illegal." And he's like, "Well, why not?" He's like, "Well, because one's illegal." Okay, well, why is it illegal? Well, because it's harmful. Well, what if the other one's more harmful? And they said, well, but you can't
You
you
can't measure
can't
it because it's
compare
illegal.
legal with legal. It's like, okay, we're going in circles here. But that's the thing, man, and that's the cultural thing. And I don't know, maybe it's
That
maybe
moment
it's
almost reminds me of your dad. Like I could see your dad having an argument with someone like that. Like, what do you mean? It's like no, but
maybe.
it's just so yeah, yeah. It's just dumb. It's just like this stupid logic.
But yeah, so there's that. There's the Pale of the State, and then the thing is that's crazy is because I think this is the biggest one because they said the ultimately what happened is he got discredited. He had to step down from his position with the government. And that's what happens, right? So everyone thought this guy was crazy, right? Because the news was making fun of him, saying, oh, he said MDMA is when culturally, normally for them, it's acceptable, it's illegal, right? And then he also lost his job. So, I guess politically he got burned at the stake, like Joan of Arc, right? They were talking about Joan of Arc in the
Yeah,
beginning, how she, was going against political norms and cultural norms back in the 1400s. And, then the bishops were like, well, this isn't right. And then they caught her for, I think she had a cross dress because the guys were trying to attack her and stuff. And they're like, oh, well, that's illegal. So we're going to burn her three times because one isn't enough. So that's
we
crazy.
got to make sure. Yeah.
In their defense, you got to make sure, right? If she's a witch. Okay, so the Pale of the Church. So we kind of just talked about that, but they were
Well,
talking
they
about
use
that
like the
Mormon
Maroon
guy, right?
Five guy, which I'm gonna use that now too. I did not. I mean, I obviously knew Holy Spirit, but I always think like from a Catholic Holy Spirit perspective, we're just like name the Father,
The
Holy
Son, the
Spirit.
Holy
Yeah,
Spirit. Well, that's what
yeah, the
even
whole
in
thing.
Catholicism, at least my understanding of it, the
Well, it's
Holy
the
Spirit
isn't
is
it like
within
the
you, is what they
yeah,
say.
yeah, it's like the kind of just the embodiment of God because it's like technically it's like there's God, then there's Jesus, physical embodiment, and then just kind of like a thing. It's like a spirit. This is
Yeah,
the Holy Spirit, but yeah, and I'm just gonna start dropping that with Mormons every once in a while,
with
just
Mormons,
because then you can get on their side.
because you can get the Holy Spirit. You get more of that. Well, you know
We
what
just
the
kind of,
Holy
and you
Spirit
know,
is.
if you just drop stuff in, like even if you don't like say it or act like you're LDS, they'll just be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what they were saying? I mean, pretty much what he was saying is for their understanding, um, it's just it's flow. It's getting in that flow state because he was talking about that Valentine guy. I don't remember his first name, but he was saying that normally he only experienced it in church, right? Because he felt close to God and the Holy Spirit. And then he was playing baseball and he felt it when he was playing baseball. He's like, whoa, that's weird. So the Holy Spirit is about baseball. And then he was listening to rock and roll and he felt it with rock and roll. And so by doing all that, he kind of started to say, well, I guess I don't really need church. I guess I don't really need, to be necessarily devote my life to it, go on a mission and do all that stuff. Um, and he found, he became successful going to, I think, Hollywood or something, or in working in rock and
Yeah,
roll. So maybe that's what they were talking about. The second one, Pale of the Body. That one, what I got from that is because they were talking about cyborgs, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I wrote down too. That what is it? What does it?
I mean, look
Uh,
at me, dude. I'm
the
a cyborg
technology
right
to
now.
upgrade your
Look at me. Look
biology.
at me. Look at you. We're both cyborgs, dude. How are we cyborgs right now? According to
Well, I
what
guess
they described.
I'm using these things, which I
Uh-huh.
feel like which are cool. They're noise canceling.
Yeah.
And they're like our
You're
speakers.
you're changing the biological, the normal biological, right? And I'm using glasses. These are blue light glasses, right, to cancel out the blue light because I feel like it's bad for my eyes, too much of it. So, I mean, isn't that
Oh.
isn't that interesting that we already use stuff that enhances our biological function, but like Elon Musk coming out with
You wear the glasses normally? I can't remember.
yeah. Well, since my birthday. Well, no, so since like Christmas time, because I knew for my job I'm in front of a computer like all day. And I was sitting there and I'm like, this can't be good for my eyes. All this blue light cannot be good
Yeah.
for my eyes. So I got these, and I got to say, man, it's better because when I don't wear them and I look at a screen for maybe 30 minutes, I look away and everything's all blurry. And I'm like, ooh, that's not good. I'm only 23.
Yeah.
But then I wear these and I'm like, it's okay. It's fine.
Yeah, no, I wear them. I have a pair too. When I'm like gonna sit at my desk for a while and do paperwork, I do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not like always on the laptop.
But back to the cyborg. So it's interesting, right? That people are against like all these cybernetic enhancements. Elon Musk once come out with that little brain implant that would, help you become your best self, so we could, keep up with artificial intelligence and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
people put more value in hard work and effort and time instead of some of these technologies and some drugs and stuff that help you get there faster, right? And the reason why, as he described in this thing, was because we're like stuck thinking about our biological selves. And I think that
Oh.
that might be that we're tied to our own ego, and our ego is tied to our bodies and who we are, who our
Yeah.
bodies are. And so this flow, you step out from your ego, gain a greater perspective of, whoa, hold on. If I don't have to if I don't have to spend 10,000 hours to master this, why would I do that? If time is the most precious thing we have, everyone has, why would I waste 10,000 hours learning someone I could do it in 5,000 hours or 3,000 hours?
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, that was chapter 3. The last thing is he was talking about the Pied Piper,
Yeah.
where he used his magic flute, the magic flute that got everyone's attention and kept them entranced in the tune. And he lured the rats into the water. The rats died. The rats from that town in Germany. I think this was a Brothers Grimm. They made
Yep.
something about it, and maybe it was real. Who knows? Then the town wouldn't pay him, so he got his revenge by luring away the kids, right? The children, all the children from the town, and so everyone was sad. So they analyzed it, and some people focused on a flute, right? And they thought that, well, what if flute is a metaphor for ecstasies, right? Ecstasy for the happiness, and what if you become so entrenched in it that you get lost in it, and you get dire consequences, like the rats died, the children may have died. He didn't really say. He said he took them to a mountain. I don't want to know what he did in the mountain, but um yeah, but it's like it was interesting him talking about that. I don't know, you tell me, what are your thoughts on that last part with the Pied Piper?
Well, I
Dude,
don't
you
think I knew the
tired or
Pied Piper.
what? Yawning a
I
lot.
don't. Yeah. I mean, like, I think I've heard it before, but I never really thought about it, and because, like, oh, like when people say, "What are you, the Pied Piper?" Like, it's kind of a
Yeah,
joke.
that's
I
where the
never really thought
saying
about
goes.
it
You
like
always
that.
got to pay the Pied Piper. Always got to pay the piper. Yeah,
Yeah.
Piper's
Yeah, I
cold.
knew it was some story like that. I just couldn't remember. So that was cool just to, get that again. And as far as like the kind of thoughts and takeaways from that, I thought it was cooler when they were talking about some of the alternate, because like obviously they talked about like the standard kind of like when they were talking about the plausibility of the story,
Yeah.
and how they were saying that one, it might just be an allegory for the plague, which I always lean on. Like that makes one more sense. Like
Plague.
it's a story about like the plague. Is like what they say. It's like all the rats left, but then all the kids died. Rats, kids, like same difference. And I mean, I
Logically,
guess
but
they're
what
not the
if
same.
you step out? What if
No,
you
yeah, yeah.
in the
Well, I'm
flow?
not
You
doubting
step
it. I
out
thought
in
I
perception.
agree with that too. Well,
So maybe
because
it's
I
both.
was reading especially when he made the like parallel to like Hitler and the Nazi regime. I need to finish this book, but I was reading, it was Mein Kampf, but it was a with context modern German translation. So the biggest part about it is literally like 3 times the length of the actual Mein Kampf, because basically it would like do a paragraph discussing like what Hitler was saying, but they went through and retranslated it, because it had always been translated by people who had took a specific skew in the translation.
Mm-hmm.
At least that's the guy also does a whole chapter on his rationale for doing it, and it's not at all written in a hey, like I'm pro Hitler. It's like, hey, you should actually listen to what this guy was saying, because the extremes that they make it out to be is not what he was saying. And some of the stuff, it's like wasn't as crazy as it was, but that's how he was able to gain the prominence, and more to almost learn from that to not have it rise again. It's like when they make it out to be so polarized, you can never see it.
Yeah. Well, a little context, because anyone who's listening, we don't support what Hitler did. Not
no,
at
we don't.
all. We
We don't.
don't support that. But a
Yeah,
little
no, it's
context why we're talking about that is because in the end of the chapter, he talked about how important and how powerful community is, right? And he talked about how one of the strongest flow triggers. Actually, talked about this in Rise of Superman, is the power of connection, right, with other people. So connecting
yeah,
with other people and community is the biggest thing. And so he was saying that really Hitler, he utilized like music from America, he utilized what cheerleaders would do in football games to get people excited.
yeah,
And that's what he did because, in terms of how he garnered the attention, he pretty much just appealed to people's natural sense of community and bond, and he did it in a very malicious way. And actually that's what he was getting at too, right in the book. He was talking about how when we go down this path of ecstasies, um, if you've never done it before, if you go by yourself, you might get lost, and if you come back, people
yeah,
will think you're crazy. That's what we were talking about earlier with the pails, right? So if that's the case, a lot of people try to find people who've gone down this path before, um, like a mentor or a teacher or something, but unfortunately, sometimes they don't have the best interest at heart. And so it seems like Hitler was one of these people. He seemed to be this leader that people listened to. He'd been down the path, but he did not have the people's best interest at heart. Maybe the German people,
yeah.
I don't know, but
Well, I
everyone
mean,
else, not.
it's hard to even say, because a lot of his early on stuff wasn't necessarily that bad, but it was like a long period of time. Like people make it out like it was like 1 or 2. It was like a decade or something. It was like a decade plus as he was doing that. So it was a very gradual thing. Think about what the world 2010, or no, not even. It's 2010. Think about like the world in 2010. Didn't we have round eye, like fucking, like what, like was there internet? It's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was internet. Yeah.
No,
Um,
but it's just even think of
understandable
that 10 years, how much has happened.
how much
The
things have
same time would
changed.
have
We
been
have
Hitler
virtual
or
reality
longer.
now. iPhones
Yeah,
were
good
much
via
slower.
virtual.
I don't know if they were slower, but they were bigger and bulkier.
It just definitely blew way more. Like this, what we're doing now would be so difficult. Like you could not, like these headphones I'm wearing used to be these massive things. Now they're just like little things.
It's
Okay,
weird
you
we
pop
get
in your
used
ear.
to them so quick. Huh?
Yeah. But if anything, they've gotten cheaper. too. So the world's really
Well,
better
people
place.
are gonna fall for it,
Oh,
man.
yep.
So,
Uh,
it sounds like we talked about chapter 3. That was pretty much it.
yeah,
Community, the end thing is community. It's a double-edged sword, right? It can be good because it
yeah.
pulls you together, but it can also be bad because you get too entrenched, you lose yourself, right? So everything's got to be in balance. Chapter 4, we talked about a little bit, the 4 forces of flow: technology, psychology, pharmacology, and neurobiology. We didn't talk about that exactly, but to me, it seemed like what he was saying is that as we understand more of those 4 things, which I just mentioned, I'm not going to say them again because it was long. You know,
I feel like in that one sentence you said the same number of words.
I'm sure, but those were long, man. They were.
No, I'm just giving you shit.
Thank you. Appreciate that. But you know, they're saying it's kind of like the pale of the church, right? So you understand and you're okay with what you're told, right? We were
Yeah,
talking about the jobs in the beginning of our talking here. You know, people, they work hard, they're okay working for the same job for 40 years. They're okay with that, right? But uh, you know, you start studying technology, psychology, all that stuff, and you start gaining a greater understanding of what's going on physically with yourself. You gain a greater perspective, you know, going through this flow thing again, and you're able to do it on your own, right? And he used the printing press as an example, right? Because as soon as the printing press came out and people had their own Bibles, people started, you know, interpreting the Word of God in their own ways, and they stopped going to the church so much, and that's how Protestants became a thing, right? Protestantism. I don't know if that's a word, but
yeah.
anyway, yeah. And then he seemed to talk about a lot of stuff. He talked about sexuality a lot, sexual freedom, which was interesting, and kinks and stuff like that. I mean, I don't know if you had too many thoughts on that. To me, it just seemed like he was.
Yeah, it was just kind of whatever. I think that kind of stuff is good if you have like, because I feel like what he's trying to hit on is different things that affect people. It's like some
Different
people, it's like
perspective.
religion's kind of what's holding them back. Other people, maybe it's like the government and the rules that's holding them back, and some people literally might be sex that's holding them back. I don't I didn't really necessarily resonate with him because I'm like, well, it's not holding me back. It literally, like, it's like I'm doing good. Like I'm not worried about it, so it's fine. Um,
I want to shout out Heather.
did you see the hot tub?
What hot tub?
Oh, did I not send you the pictures?
No.
Oh, I thought I sent you the. I thought I
You
sent that
want to
to you.
see these pictures?
Oh well, so it was our we celebrated our honeymoon, so we got a hotel,
That's right.
but it was like one of the ones where it had an actual like hot tub in it.
Oh, sweet.
But this was like a nice hotel. So we stayed at the Davenport downtown, and it was like the 19th floor, so we kind of had like a city view. I mean, it's Spokane, so it's not like fucking
Yeah,
New
yeah,
York or anything, but
yeah.
it still gets city feel. And then it was like it was massive. I mean, it's way bigger than my apartment. Like it was probably another 500 to 600 square feet bigger than my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just one room. Like it wasn't like there were sections. Like it was just massive. And then there
Good.
was like the hot tub like comfortably fit us. Like and probably could have fit like 2 more people.
So where was my invitation?
You just weren't invited. And the shower had 2 shower heads.
Thanks. I found.
Like it was
I
a
could
big
have
enough
picked up
shower
on
that she
that.
just went.
Huh?
Yeah. And it had 2 shower heads. And we had those nice robes, where they like are embroidered and stuff.
All
Uh,
right. Well, I'm gonna have to see these pictures, Heather. I'm gonna have to see these pictures, man. That sounds cool.
uh, it's still too much for one night. I'm like, well, it's not. It's not one a single hotel
Mhm.
room.
Well,
Well,
so
it's not crazy, I guess, but
yeah. So I think we kind of hit on everything in those 2 chapters. We definitely,
yep.
hopefully, again, this records the audio, so we can maybe move
Hopefully,
forward with
sounds
Zoom.
good.
Maybe this is our way to go. But
Well, Joe Rogan literally does this. Like, if you look at Joe Rogan, he's just on Zoom.
is he on Zoom?
Yeah, like when he does video ones, they're just on Zoom.
Oh,
It's not like he uses some like
oh
some
yeah,
weird
yeah. When he's
craziness.
interviewing people, I think they've got some more technological stuff figured out.
Well,
We're gonna have
when
to
they do
down the
it
road.
like in person, yes, but when they do it not in person, Like when he does remote ones, they're just over Zoom, and the person that he's talking to usually doesn't have it. Like it just has like a computer setup.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's like mics and stuff, but like
And I was gonna say
that's
that
fixed for
we're
voice.
gonna have to. I mean, maybe we don't have to. If we really want to get professional, we can get some mics and stuff in the future. But
That's when you're making money. Like if like so, say we invest $100 in mics,
yeah,
we need to be getting at least you know $120 worth of value.
maybe. I think it's something we should discuss off air. What I'm gonna do is I'm going to FaceTime you when we're done. But I think we discussed what we discussed. How about today's Monday? Wednesday, we'll have 2 more chapters done. We can discuss on Wednesday, and then we go Friday. How's that sound for you? Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Yeah,
We can just pump these out.
I mean that's yeah. Unless like so I'm busy or something Friday, but for the most part, yeah.
Okay, busy Friday. Yeah, we can push it to another day. But cool. All right, dude.
Yeah.
Well,
Or maybe I'll just like do it earlier or something.
yeah.
But
This was fun. Like I said, I'll FaceTime you, but we should end this one. And it's a lot of fun talking about it.
sweet.
All right, dude.